Okay, I think we're going to begin. There will be a few more people entering the room over the next few minutes, but we'd like to welcome you today. And first off, congratulations to all of you as being a newly accepted graduate student in the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. First off, I'd like to start. My name is Christopher Connor. I'm Assistant Dean for Graduate Education and Chief Enrollment Officer in the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, and we're delighted to have you joining us today. I'm going to briefly go over today's agenda, and we're delighted to have as many guest speakers as we do with us today. We're first going to kick off this session today with a welcome from our Dean, Kemper Lewis, the Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, who's also professor in the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. We will then be followed by a presentation by Dr. Letitia Thomas, who's our Assistant Dean for Diversity, who will be giving a discussion on engineering diversity and building a diverse and inclusive community. The next portion of the agenda, we will have Hadar Borden joining us to talk about setting your ideas in motion. Blackstone Launchpad powered by Techstars, providing some information on entrepreneurship, intrapreneurship, and the various programs that we have available here at the University at Buffalo. I will be providing a brief discussion on the importance of building power skills, which are also known as soft skills, in helping you prepare for your career, and the various options that you have at the University at Buffalo to help augment your skills outside of the classroom and preparing you for your position in the workforce. We will then be followed by a discussion by Dr. Kelly Ahuna, providing information on ethics and academic integrity. She will be joining us shortly from the Office of Academic Integrity. And then we are very fortunate today to have an alumni panel of faculty who are all alums of the University at Buffalo, providing you some insight into what they had wished they had known in graduate school that they know now. This is going to provide a very unique perspective to provide you information on some things to think about as you continue your journey either through a master's or a doctoral degree at the University at Buffalo. And then we will close with an orientation closing. There may be some time for question and answers during that panel as well. But again, we'd like to welcome you today, and I would like to pass it off to our Dean, Dr. Kemper Lewis, to provide some information and a welcome to you.
Thank you, Chris. And again, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're joining us. Thank you for joining us. This is an exciting day. I actually remember almost 30 years ago, my graduate school orientation. It's when I met my director of graduate studies in the department. It's where I met the department chair where I was studying. And actually, they are still friends today. So I have the privilege of being the Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences here at UB, but I also have the honor of knowing so many of our students. And that really is something that defines us in this school, that every student matters. And I plan to have the opportunity to meet each one of you during your time at UB. It may be this semester, it may be next semester, but certainly while you're here at UB, I look forward to getting to know each of you. You have stories. And I want to hear them because they not only define who you are, but they help define who we as the School of Engineering and Applied Science will become. You will become part of our story. We here at UB are research leaders. We're a member of the AAU, which is the Association of American Universities. This is America's 65 leading research universities. It's a very prestigious and distinguished group of universities that UB is proud to be a part of. Why we do what we do, why we do our research, why we do our education, why we work so deeply with students. We want to train students to have an impact, to be leaders of influence in engineering and computer science. Simply put, we want you to be leaders. And so that is what we strive to do. That is why we do what we do. How we do this, there's some defining characteristics of how we do what we do, how we research, how we train, how we work with our students. First of all, diversity and equity, it's part of who we are. It's part of who we want to be. If we claim to be innovative, and we have so much innovative research and education going on here, diversity breeds innovation. And so this is part of the core of who we are, who we're trying to be, who we want to be. You know, we're looking at all of our processes and trying to understand the role of our diverse culture And we know this team, your cohort coming in is an absolute diverse set of students as well, and we're thrilled for that because it will help us become more excellent and more innovative. We're collegial. This goes to how we treat each other. We're collaborative. This speaks to how we work with each other. You will find very low barriers to, for instance, taking courses outside of your major area, to working with students and faculty outside of your home department. It happens every day here. This is just part of how we do what we do. Achievement. We love to celebrate achievement. Our students are high achievement students. They win so many awards, and we love to celebrate that in significant ways. And then lastly, we are a community of integrity. This speaks to issues of character, where we adhere to the morals, the character values of integrity, of trustworthiness. This is what we expect of our students. We expect you to be men and women who are trustworthy, who hold our ideals of integrity at a high level. I realize, look, we all realize that all of you are giving up something to be here, to come to UB, to study at UB, whether that means coming this semester, whether it means coming next spring, whenever you're able to get here. We know you're giving up something to be here. You're giving up other opportunities. You're giving up time with family. You're giving up your home countries and your home cities that you're comfortable with. And you're pressing out of that comfort zone to join us. We realize that. And we're here not to replace what you're giving up, but to actually add to it. You are a Buffalo Bull now. Once you're able to step foot in the state, in Western New York, you become part of a beautiful Western New York landscape and ecosystem with lakes and rivers and, of course, Niagara Falls and the hills and the trails and the food. The food, it's incredible. And then eventually the entertainment. Once we get back full force with entertainment, it is just a fantastic place to spend time as a graduate student and to live here. This will become part of your story, and we want to make sure that you embrace growth, your own growth. Of course, this is going to happen in your graduate programs, but we want it to happen beyond your graduate programs. You see, growth is the only way that we ensure that tomorrow is better than today. And that's what we want for each of you. We want your tomorrows to be better than today. We want you to grow every single day while you're here. We want you to surround yourself with great people. We want you to read great books. We want you to listen to great podcasts. We want you to seek great conversations, seek great dialogue. We want you to look for great experiences beyond just the great research that you're doing and the great classes that you're taking. So I want to welcome you from the bottom of my heart. I can't wait to get to know all of you. Welcome you to a university that we all love, and I know you will as well. Welcome to UB, and Chris, I'll turn it back over to you for the remainder of the program this morning.
Thank you very much, Dean Lewis. We really appreciate those words. They're so important. And again, we would like to welcome you here to the University at Buffalo. I would like to now provide the floor to our Assistant Dean, Letitia Thomas, who is going to be providing a discussion on diversity and inclusion and the importance of diversity and inclusion, and then also being able to really peel the layers of the onion back and provide a significant amount of information of things for you to be aware of. And I want to preface before we begin this discussion that this is the first step. We are going to be providing a significant amount of additional information in this particular area through our C's 360 professional development program, which I will tell you more about later on. So this is really a preview of what we expect to be providing you in terms of training, leadership, knowledge, and awareness in the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. So I'm now going to pass this off to Dr. Letitia Thomas. Letitia?
Thanks, Chris. Good morning and welcome again. You're going to hear this a lot. Welcome to the University of Buffalo. We are very friendly people in Western New York, and so when we say welcome, we sincerely mean that. We are so happy that you have chosen to study at the University of Buffalo, and We are excited to get things going and to have you get into those labs and get into those classrooms and do really wonderful work that is the very essence of what the University of Buffalo embodies. So I'm going to see if I can advance my slides here.
Having trouble? Let me just...
A little bit. Okay, thank you. So I am Letitia Thomas, and I am the Assistant Dean for Diversity, or our Unit Diversity Officer here in the School of Engineering. And diversity officers foster inclusive excellence for the faculty, staff, and students here at the university. And every school in the university has a diversity officer, and I, along with Associate Dean Rajan Bhatta, serve in that role here in SEAS. Next slide. So this is our agenda today. This is going to be a very brief discussion. So we're going to talk a little bit about my office, a little bit about professional conduct, implicit bias, which you may or may not have heard about, microaggressions, how you can be inclusive. I'm going to do a little bit on imposter syndrome, and then we're going to sum it all up because I know you have a full agenda for today. Okay, so diversity is a fact. We have a lot of different students here from a number of different countries and a number of different places, but inclusion is a behavior, and that's the behavior that we want to foster here at the University of Buffalo. We are proud of our diversity. We are proud of the fact that we have so many students from so many different places, but we really do want to practice inclusion, and we want to make sure that all voices are heard and all perspectives are heard and respected. So my office is the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and what we want to do is create a diverse community among our students, and we want to empower our students to achieve all of their goals. So you're here in your graduate programs, getting master's degrees, getting PhDs, and you have a lot of goals and a lot of things that you want to achieve. You want to do good research. You may want to learn how to become a great professor. You may want to learn how to be a captain of industry. There are so many different opportunities for you, and we want to make sure that everyone has the chance to achieve their goals and can learn in our diverse environment. And we want to embrace of inclusion. So we want everyone, regardless of your race, your gender, your sexual orientation, your ability, or your country of origin, to feel welcome and to feel at home and to feel that UB is a safe place for you. So we want to foster a supportive and open environment where you can learn and grow and flourish, and as we say on our website, change the world, because so many of our students do exactly that, and we believe that you are one of those students. So we assist the School of Engineering with workshops. We do search committee training, student accommodations. We assist faculty with broader impacts in their grants. If you apply for a grant through the National Science Foundation, you have to show how it will affect the broader community, the broader scientific community, the broader community in our world. We troubleshoot student problems. We do implicit bias and microaggression training, and Chris is going to talk a little bit more about the SEAS 360 program, and I'm really excited to be a part of that program this fall. And we also, again, the graduate student development via SEAS 360 is going to include implicit bias, microaggression, and a few other workshops. Next slide. So all engineers are governed by a code of professional conduct. Among other points, UB engineers and applied scientists must show respect for others. And part of that is refraining from creating a hostile atmosphere with any discriminatory, microaggressive, or sexist remarks or actions. We expect all of our students to abide by a code of conduct and not only do well in their research and their teaching, but also be people who show respect, who work collaboratively, who create a good atmosphere to learn here at UB. So you have to be mindful of your unconscious mind. And again, we're just really scratching the surface with these concepts. But there is a concept known as implicit or unconscious bias. And so our hidden brain is working, and we react to what we see and the assumptions that we may hold about people, about places, about different things in our environment. And so everyone is conditioned in some kind of way. You see a person, you encounter someone, and automatically your brain is working without your knowledge, gathering information and making different assumptions. Next slide. So there are different types of unconscious bias, more than what's listed on the screen, but I just picked out a few. So we have an affinity bias. We prefer people who are like us. We feel comfortable when we, look across the room and see someone who's like us. And so we have an affinity for those persons. We have a perception bias. We form stereotypes about certain groups, and it's really impossible to be objective when we form those perception biases. We look at certain people and we think, oh, this is a good person. We look at certain people, we're not quite sure if they're a good person or not, and we act accordingly based on those biases we have. We have a confirmation bias. So we search for bits of information that back up our original opinions. And so if we think someone is a good person based on the bias we have, then they're a good person in our mind. And if we think someone is not so good, we're not sure, we may think, oh, we don't know about this person, then we will look for evidence to back that up as well. I like this one, the halo and the horns effect. So we will focus on either one really good or one really bad feature about a person. And then we will think they're either perfect or imperfect, more perfect or imperfect than they really are based on that feature. So if it's a great feature about a person, then it's the halo effect. Well, we think they can do no wrong and they are perfect. If it's a bad feature that we focus on, that's the horns effect. Then that person is imperfect, more imperfect than they really are, and it's really hard to change our minds about that. Next slide. So if we want to reduce our unconscious or implicit bias, we have to be aware of the judgments that we form about others. We have to acknowledge rather than ignore these biases so we can control them and we can be open to expand our minds and change. You're going to meet so many people here at the University of Buffalo, and you really want the opportunity to get to know people and to enjoy, working relationships and friendships and collaborations with people who you may have never met before, people that you've never been around before. And you want to be open to receiving information from folks, from learning from other people, including your professors, staff. If you're going to be a teaching assistant, you want to be open and get to know and get along with your undergraduate students. So acknowledging your bias and then controlling them and expanding your view is really going to help with that. You want to think about people as individuals, but not exceptions. So if you have a bias about somebody and you think, oh, they're not really great programmers, and then you meet someone who is a great programmer, and they happen to be a woman or a person of color, and you didn't think that, there are a lot of women programmers, which there are, or you didn't think that people of color were necessarily skilled in this area, but you meet somebody and you say, oh, well, you're so different, from your group because you're a really great programmer. You want to see that person as an individual who's a great programmer, who can do great things, but not as an exception, because there are tons of women who do great programming. I have a lot of students of color in my undergraduate programs that do, that are great programmers. So you want to really think about students as individuals and not lump people together in groups. And again, create these sort of implicit biases. You want to be open to everyone who you encounter, again, to make those great connections that we want you to have here at UB. And then you want to ask yourself, where do I get these perceptions? And where does this unconscious bias come from? Is it based on race? Is it based on gender? Is it based on sexual orientation or where someone is from? And really that's kind of the hard, meaty work, that a lot of us have to do to sort of reprogram and retrain the things that we may have learned over years and years of schooling, or things that we've seen on television, or things that we've seen, on social media. There are a lot of ways that we form these ideas and opinions. We may get it from parents. We may get it from, teachers or instructors. And again, think of this as a clean slate. You're coming into the university. You're going to meet a lot of different people. And again, making those connections to do research, to do interdisciplinary work, to connect with your students, to connect with your faculty, to connect with your fellow students is going to be extremely important. Next slide. So microaggressions. Again, this is a really hot topic, and there's been a lot of discussion and a lot of talk about this. And as a result of implicit bias, some people really suffer through microaggressions. This was a term that was coined in the 1970s, and it really referred to insults suffered by African Americans. In 1973, Mary Rowe expanded this definition, and it also includes microaggressions toward women. Unfortunately, these days, microaggressions can be directed toward any group or group of people. Unfortunately, they are most directed at minorities and women, people who seem to be, or who people deem as different. Next slide. So microaggressions are subtle. They can be verbal or nonverbal slights based on some kind of group membership. And again, racial minorities, women, and LGBTQ individuals suffer the most from microaggressions, according to research. So when students suffer from microaggressions, from faculty, from staff, from fellow students, it makes these a hostile environment. And we don't want students to feel uncomfortable. We don't want students to feel as if they don't belong. So, we really want to make people aware that sometimes the things that you say or the little things that you do can cause that hostile environment and could be perceived as a microaggression. You see, I have these pictures here that are examples of microaggressions. You have the person on top is holding a sign, and someone assumes you're good with numbers. And then the second person is holding a sign that says, "So what are you?" And these actually could be considered macroaggressions, but people encounter other people, and again, because of implicit bias, they form an idea in their mind. Oh, this guy must be good at math. And oh, this other guy, well, I don't really know what racial category, what country of origin is this person from? You're looking, you're contemplating, and so you may say, well, what are you? And that's really, not how we want to approach people, especially new people. You start a conversation with a person, you get to know a person, and it's perfectly fine to ask, where are you from? And the person can, they might tell you they're from Korea. They might tell you that they're from Brooklyn. You want to get to know people in a way that is, you can ask questions about where they're from. Oh, Brooklyn, I heard that you have really good pizza there. Although I think Buffalo pizza is better, but that's my own implicit bias. But, you want to get to know people in a way that creates friendship, that allows you to learn about people in a very genuine way. But, when you kind of approach a person and say, oh, what are you? That already sets up a kind of a hostile atmosphere. And sometimes people are not as willing to share if they feel like they've been insulted. So again, it's the way you approach people. If you approach people, with genuine interest and genuine curiosity, then I think people are more than willing to engage you and talk and, get to know you when you guys can get to know one another. But when you approach people in a way that is off-putting, then already people, have put up a barrier, and you may have closed off a good friendship or a good working relationship. Next slide. So I have a short video here that I hope that we can show, and there is a couple instances of choice language, so I want to warn you of that, but it's a really good illustration of microaggressions.
Are you able to hear the sound?
I did not hear that.
All right, let me take care of that.
Oh, thank you.
For people who still don't think that microaggressions are a problem,
Oh, you're so well-spoken.
just imagine, instead of being a stupid comment, a microaggression is a mosquito bite.
Ugh, it's a compliment.
Mosquito bites and their itch are one of nature's most annoying features. But if you're only bitten every once in a while,
No, where are you really from?
Cleveland?
sure, it's annoying, but it's not that big a deal. The problem is that some people get bitten by mosquitoes a lot more than other people. I mean, a lot more. Whether it's on a date,
Oh, your English is so good.
Excuse me?
going grocery shopping,
Everything happens for a reason.
I'm just buying apples.
commuting to work,
So when are you gonna have a baby?
watching TV,
We have to keep the Redskins name. It's part of our culture and history.
or just walking down the street with your partner.
I couldn't even tell you were gay.
Mosquitoes seem to pop up everywhere.
Do you know John? Give me shopping advice. I love Cher too.
And getting bit by mosquitoes every goddamn day,
Can I touch your hair?
multiple times a day,
So pretty. Can I touch your hair?
Can I please?
is fucking annoying. And makes you want to go ballistic on those mosquitoes, which seems like a huge overreaction to people who only get bit every once in a while.
It's just a mosquito bite. Who cares?
Just another angry black woman.
Of course, beyond just being annoying, some mosquitoes carry truly threatening diseases that can mess up your life for years.
Astrophysics? Maybe you should try this challenging major.
Ow, my dreams.
And other mosquitoes carry strains that can even kill you.
He looked like he was up to trouble, okay? I felt threatened.
So next time you think someone's overreacting, just remember, some people experience mosquito bites all the time.
You're all so exotic. Wow.
And by mosquito bites, we mean microaggressions.
Thanks, Chris, for controlling the audio for me. So those were some examples of microaggressions, and I love that little video. It's funny, and the mosquitoes are actually talking and very annoying, but really that is what it feels like, to experience microaggressions. Of course, I'm an African American woman, and when she whipped out the flamethrower, I have felt that in my life, where you just want people to stop being microaggressive and to stop saying really weird things to you. As I've gotten older, I have learned to sort of deal with that, and usually I look at people strange. And again, when I do this workshop, I have a 90-minute workshop on microaggressions. We talk about different ways to deal with them. But for people who experience microaggressions all the time, it really is, it's annoying, and sometimes it can be really hurtful. So again, we want to be mindful of the types of microaggressions that happen. So I listed a few that happen among students. So again, when you treat students of color or women as if they don't belong in engineering buildings or in certain classes. Sometimes, and I've heard, students say this, they walk into Davis Hall or they walk into Ketter Hall, and people automatically kind of look up and they stare, and, they ask you if you need help or if you're in the wrong place. And certainly, there are going to be people who are lost the first couple of weeks of the semester. But, when we get to October, November, December, if people are in a building, they're usually there for a specific reason. And so to sort of, challenge people or question people about why they're in a building or looking at them very strangely if they walk into a building. We have 30,000 students on campus, and certainly you have not met them all. And so there's going to come a lot of times, when people wander into buildings that you've never seen before. So, just always be very welcoming and smile. If someone asks you for directions, certainly do provide them. But, challenging people and wondering why they're in a certain building or lab is very off-putting. Everyone is welcome in every space at UB. This one comes up a lot. I don't see race, or I don't see color. And this can be interpreted as you don't acknowledge the struggles or experiences of other people. And so, you want to be mindful of that. You want to show some empathy. And this is kind of a theme, that I like to have throughout this presentation, is to show some empathy and to put yourself in someone else's place or someone else's shoes. You don't look gay. And I'm not even really sure what that means, or whether gay has some kind of look. And we heard that in the video, but, LGBT folks have said, this is so annoying, and they're always mystified as to what people exactly mean. And usually if they say this, it doesn't mean something good. You're pretty or handsome for a fill in the blank. Just no. That's just no. That's just something, it almost defies explanation. That's just something that you really don't want to say. This is one that I've actually seen, speaking really loudly to people who you perceive are international students, and assuming they don't speak or understand English. And even if this is true, I'm not sure what it has to do with you speaking extra loud. But when you encounter people from different places, you cannot assume that they don't speak or don't understand English. If someone asks, if you start talking to a person and they ask you for clarification, you can clarify, and you two can kind of work through communication together, but you don't walk up to a person and just start shouting at them. We have a lot of students from a lot of different places on campus. You may think a student is international, and they could be from Queens, New York, and then they'll just look at you like you're very strange. So you want to be mindful of that. Asking a person with a different hairstyle, dreadlocks, afros, I happen to have an afro, or braids, is that your real hair, and can I touch it? That is extraordinarily rude. And if you come upon someone and you act in this manner, you might get a very hostile, reception or a hostile answer. If you get to know someone and you want to make an inquiry about their hairstyle, they may be more than willing to share information with you, but under no circumstances are you to touch another person without permission or as some kind of curiosity. That would be seen as extraordinarily rude. Everyone can succeed in engineering if they just work hard enough. When students hear that, it sounds as if you believe that there are different outcomes for different people as a result of laziness. And it's way, way, way more complicated than that. And again, if you do Studies 360, we'll be talking about this and other topics. But the short answer is, people come to material and come to their classes. So some of you may be TAs and you have undergrads in your classes. And again, we really want to express grace and patience with students. Students learn at different levels. They learn in different ways. Sometimes online learning, may be more difficult for some students than others. And really, it's our job to figure out how our students learn best and how they can absorb the material and to help them in any way possible. So how can we be more inclusive? Challenge your bias and also challenge your classmates who may have said racist or biased things about you or about fellow students. Understand what microaggressions are and consider the various ways that they could manifest themselves. They have an impact on everyone in your learning environment. And so the more that you can spot what these might be, and try to mitigate them being used against other people, or you using them yourself or having them used against you, will make our learning environment better. Understand your intent versus your impact. You may have a great intention to be, friendly, or to reach out to someone, or to kind of make a joke. But those intentions can be harmful, and you want to be mindful of that. And again, I cannot stress this enough, to show some empathy, show some grace, show people that you understand, and that you want to, again, create a wonderful learning environment and an opportunity to have collaborations, to do great research, to, have great learning experiences. And a lot of that really starts with empathy. I just want to do a quick thing, and there's really no easy way to segue into this, about imposter syndrome. I was surfing around the internet, and I happened upon a video of a graduate orientation where they were talking about this. I said, "Oh, let me pop this in really quickly." So graduate school is hard, and it can also be very emotionally taxing. And you may find yourself living in fear that others will find out that you're not as smart as they think you are. You may be plagued with self-doubt, like, "Oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. Why did I come here? Why did I enroll? I can't do this." You may be obsessed. "I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to get up early in the morning. I'm going to read all the chapters twice. I'm going to underline everything. I'm going to be perfect, perfect, perfect. And I'm not going to make any mistakes. And my professor is going to think that I'm the greatest." You may feel really bad if you receive some constructive criticism and say, "See, I always knew it. I was a failure. I cannot do this." Or you might believe that other students are, smarter and more capable than you are. When I heard Dr. Lewis say, he was in a grad program 30 years ago, I remember being in my first graduate program about the same time. I think it was 25 years ago for me. And, I kind of looked around, and people were using all these phrases and jargon. And I thought, "Oh my God, I don't even know why I decided to do this. I have no idea what they're talking about." And within a semester, I was using the same phrases and the same jargon, and I felt like I fit in. So, all of these feelings that you have are normal, and it will be okay. The first, semester, you may, have all of these feelings, these overwhelming feelings, but you're not alone. Next slide. I think I say that on the next slide. Yes. So, talk about your feelings, find a mentor, create support in your community. Remind yourself it is not just you. We have a few hundred folks, on this webinar, and everybody, is having some feelings of doubt. You want to separate your feelings from the fact. You were accepted to UB. We saw something in you. We wanted you here. So the fact that we're really good at this. So if we accepted you and we wanted you here, we know that you can do this. Practice positive self-talk, positive affirmations. "I know I can do this. I'm really smart. I'm really good at this. I got this." And reframe those fraudulent feelings into a sense of learning and accomplishment. I remember I was asked to be on a grant panel about workforce development, and I really didn't know anything about workforce development. But I accepted. I said, "Oh, yes, I'll definitely do that." And I have learned a lot about workforce development because I said, "You know what? I'm going to be on this grant panel. They've asked me to do this, and I'm going to learn all I can learn about workforce development." So, and now I've added that to my portfolio of skills. Next slide. So in summary, UBC's is a diverse place and an inclusive community, and we're really proud of that. We have a lot of resources, workshops, and training. Students are expected to conduct themselves in a professional manner with fellow faculty, staff, and students. Unconscious bias and microaggressions can get in the way, so please govern yourselves accordingly. We need your help to make C's an inclusive community. Show grace, show empathy. It really does take a whole village to make this a great place to learn. And imposter syndrome is normal. Create a community, be honest about your feelings, your anxiety, remember your strengths, remember that we chose you, we accepted you, and you belong here. Next slide, which I think should be the end. Oh, and meet some new people, so we remember we have this one jigsaw puzzle, which is new people who are all the same. So it's easy to kind of hang with your own group. and find some comfort in that. And we completely understand that. But, try hanging with some other folks who don't look like you, who are from different places to you. This second graphic really does speak to what the University of Buffalo is. We are many different people from many different places, and hopefully we will form a community together. And that should be the last slide. Yes. And so that's me. Again, I am Letitia Thomas, and under normal circumstances, I could be found in 107 Furnace Hall. We are going to be doing things a bit remotely for the fall semester, but I can always be reached via email, lthomas@buffalo.edu. I believe these slides are going to be sent out to everyone. So again, if you have any questions or comments or want more information, please do contact me. And again, thank you so much to Chris and the team at the graduate office for allowing me to share these really brief slides with you. And again, I look forward to meeting you in the future. And again, from the bottom of my heart and sincerely, welcome to UB.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas. This was an excellent talk. I think it's very important to remind everyone that this is the beginning we're only hitting the surface on this, and that we have to think of diversity as a strength and knowledge as power. And I believe that you'll see through discussion and engagement in our professional development program that these very skills and the awareness of these very things that Letitia has discussed with all of us, there's so many endless pieces that you could continue to go down and train and build and create as we go along. So I'd like to thank you again for that very helpful overview. Again, very brief, but we want to make sure that people are aware that we can capitalize this in our CEAS 360 professional development program. But thank you very much for your time for that. Okay, we are now moving on to the next topic. And I have Hadar Borden, Director of the Blackstone Launchpad program, joining us to talk a little bit about opportunities in terms of thinking about becoming more innovative as a student, not just waiting after you've graduated, okay, now what am I going to do? Hadar is going to take you through a journey, and Hadar, I'm going to be giving you control to the slides here in a second to talk you through some of this. But again, listening to this, also capitalizing on opportunities for engagement at the University of Buffalo. That's what a lot of this is about today when we talk about professionalism. Professionalism is comprised of many different things from many different lenses. So this is just another example of opportunities for you to make sure that you're taking up and capitalizing on as you go along through your journey as a graduate student at the University of Buffalo. And Hadar, you should have just gotten a notification about controlling my screen. If you didn't, I can do that. There you go.
Looks like I am controlling.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
I'll get you back into your portion here. Okay.
Terrific, thank you. Hello and welcome to UB. My name is Hadar Borden and I am the director at Blackstone Launchpad powered by Techstars. And you might be wondering, what is Blackstone Launchpad powered by Techstars? Well, we're a campus-based entrepreneurship network. And what that really means is that we're here to support you and your vision to be innovative and creative on our campus. And what we do on our campus to support your interest in being innovative and an entrepreneur is we help you take your ideas, what you're passionate about, and what you're researching in the lab and turn it into a business. Many of you are still looking to explore the world of entrepreneurship, and we're here to support you as well. Next slide. One of the key features about our Blackstone Launchpad powered by Techstars program is that we're part of a network of Launchpad institutions, both here in New York, including NYU, Syracuse, and Cornell, to institutions like Texas A&M and University of Southern California. So you are in good company with students from across the the United States as well as in Ireland. Next slide, please. We're here to support and create a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. We're here to help connect you to opportunities that are occurring within the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, but maybe opportunities across campus in our School of Management to support your entrepreneurial interests. But in addition to that, we want to take you away from the University of Buffalo and encourage you to explore entrepreneurship and our entrepreneurial ecosystem right here in Western New York, in Buffalo, New York. So we will connect you with opportunities like internships with a local startup, or maybe networking opportunities within the community. Next slide. Again, we're here to celebrate your innovative spirit, your entrepreneurial spirit, and many of you will choose to be entrepreneurs. Many of you want to be your own boss and create something of your own, but others of you like me, like Dean Lewis, Dr. Thomas, we're innovators within an organization. We work within the University of Buffalo to support our mission and be creative. And that's what we call intrapreneurs. And at Blackstone Launchpad, powered by Techstars, we support both entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs in providing you with the skills that you need to be effective and successful, while also providing you an opportunity to practice those skills that you've gained while at the University of Buffalo. Next slide. And how we make that happen is by hosting a whole host of programs for your exploration, including workshops, venture coaching, pitch competitions, and an inclusive launch program, which I'll speak to in a moment. Next slide. So typically, we're located in 220 Student Union, which is at the heart of the university's campus. We're right upstairs across from the UB ticket office. This semester, we'll be offering all of our programs virtually, whether that's our venture coaching, our competitions, our workshops, and networking opportunities will be hosted on a virtual platform. And I'll speak to how we're going to accommodate that. Next slide. And again, we host a whole host of events. We've got a listing of them here for you, but we will make sure that you have this available to you on a regular basis. We work with the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences Marketing and Communications team to send you information on a weekly basis of upcoming events that you might be interested in attending. Next slide. So these are some of the photos from some of our experiences. I share these to help you see the energy, the enthusiasm embodied by our students and by our community leaders that support our program. Next slide. And one of the things that we are proud of is, again, connecting you, our University of Buffalo students, with our community, with industry partners, with the startup community. And one of the ways that we do that is our founder stories. We invite individuals, entrepreneurs from our community and from our alumni community to share their story of how they got started, how they built an organization. And we have that interview conducted by a student entrepreneur as a way for you to see yourself in these individuals and help you identify the skills and encourage and inspire you to pursue your passion. Next slide. We also offer lots of workshops on campus to help you build your toolkit to be a successful entrepreneur or intrapreneur. We all know that entrepreneurship is synonymous with pitch competitions, but we also know that oftentimes folks might fail forward in a pitch competition when answering questions. And so we put together a workshop helping you learn how to best convey your message to an audience, but also how to respond to questions from an audience or a judge panel. And that's just one of the workshops that we offer at Blackstone Launchpad. Next slide. And of course, no entrepreneurship program would be complete without competitions. And so I'll share with you a few of our competitions that we're planning to host this fall and academic year. Next slide. So our Bulls Launch competition, this is the easiest way to make $1,500 in 90 seconds. This is our early stage idea competition, and many of our students that have competed in this competition have gone on to win our largest competition that I'll speak to in a minute. We're looking for general ideas, for technology-based ideas, and for you to share your idea, not a prototype, in 90 seconds. And typically we have you walk out of an elevator and pitch to a live audience and a panel of judges. This year we'll be hosting it on a virtual platform. Next slide. And again, these are some of the images, the energy that we have in the crowd when our students present their ideas to UB students. Next slide. Our World's Challenge competition encourages our students to take hold of the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 goals to support our planet, people, and profit. And our students identify one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and create a product, a service, a solution around it. And one of our teams actually took 3rd place in our World's Challenge World Competition hosted by Western University in Ontario, Canada. So again, next slide. This is just an example of some of the opportunities that you as University of Buffalo students have to engage, to take what you're learning in the classroom, in the labs, and apply it into real world experiences. Next slide. I alluded to this before. We have the Panashi Technology Entrepreneurship Competition. It's the largest pitch competition at the University of Buffalo. One team walks away with $25,000 of cash prizes and then an additional $27,000 in in-kind services. So this is the piece that everyone buys for during the academic year, and we typically host it in our spring semester. And here are just some of the images on the next slide that you'll be able to recognize some of the students from the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. So in the top left-hand corner, holding a guitar, we have Shane Nolan and Ryan Jacquin, both electrical engineering students who pursued an MBA at the University of Buffalo and are actively pursuing their company, AV8 Audio, but they got their start through Blackstone Launchpad. At the bottom left, we have a company called Chipdown, which has designed a fun outdoor game, and Bernard Cohen, the founder, is a mechanical engineer. And at the bottom right-hand corner, you have Ogechi Ogoku, a Western New York Prosperity Fellow and a PhD candidate in chemical engineering who won the Panashi competition just a year ago. All of these individuals continue to make progress on their venture. Next slide. Of course, we want to encourage more diversity and empower our female founders on our campus. And so we created the Empower Pitch competition to get our women out there and on the same platform. These are some of the images on the next slide from our inaugural pitch competition. We were joined by our former dean, Liesl Folks from School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, for which the competition was created to honor her continued efforts to empower women. We have students, Isabel Hall at the top right, who won for her venture focused on innovation in engineering. And of course, we have our Aging Innovation Challenge competition, where we encourage our students to think about the elders in our community, the aging population and their caregivers. And in the next slide, we'll speak a little bit about that, where our students are trying to come up with solutions to support the aging population and their caregivers. So again, there are ample opportunities for you to take your research, what you're passionate about, and really turn it into something that impacts the community. And next slide, please. So again, these are some of the images from the Aging Innovation Challenge, where you get a sense of the energy, the camaraderie, the team building that goes on in these competitions. And next slide, please. One of the programs that we're very proud of is our 3-minute thesis competition. You may have heard this from other institutions. We're going into our 5th year of hosting the 3-minute thesis competition. And this is really important for all of you. If you're pursuing a master's, if you're pursuing a PhD, it's really important for you to be able to convey the essence of your research to a non-specialist audience. And that is what the 3-minute thesis competition tries to encourage. Really, it's a professional skill building competition where you learn how to engage an audience, how to respond to questions, but really how to share your research in 3 minutes to a non-specialist audience. This is an opportunity for everyone to participate, and especially our PhD candidates. And of course, we want to make sure that our students understand that we're not just here to support ideas that are tech-based. We're looking for social innovation, and we offer students the opportunity to practice their social innovation and entrepreneurship at the University of Buffalo. We do this by hosting different workshops and experiences. And next slide, please. One of the things that we've hosted on our campus is how to start your own not-for-profit 501c3, where we invite professionals from the community, executive directors of not-for-profit organizations, to share their experience and how they started their ventures to impact their community. And we continue to offer those programs to our students. Next slide. And our bread and butter is our venture coaching support. Next slide. One of the things that we know, when you have an idea, you're not really sure how to get it off the ground. Maybe you put it in your phone, or you write it on a napkin, you talk with your friends. We invite you to come into our office or virtually schedule an appointment with one of our venture coaches who will help you, kind of guide you through that idea development. And really, how do you start a business from an idea that you have, a problem that you've encountered, and a solution that you've identified. So you're not at it alone. We're here to support you. Number one question that we always receive is, does the university take any equity in your idea, in your venture, in your business? And the answer is no, absolutely not. We are here to support you. And by the way, all of the resources that I'm sharing with you are free to you because you are University of Buffalo students. In addition, as you graduate out, these resources are available to you beyond your time at the university. So as alumni, you can come back and ask for our additional support. We have venture coaching support. If you have an app idea that you want to develop or a website you'd like to create, we have software coaches. And of course, if you have an idea that needs a prototype, we have design coaches to guide you. All of these resources, again, are free to you as a student. Next slide. And beyond the resources that we offer in our program, Blackstone Launchpad powered by Techstars, the University at Buffalo has a lot of resources that we've established to support our students. And we call these experts in residence in supporting our ventures. We have an Entrepreneurship Law Clinic who can help you think about forming business agreements between founders in a company. If you're interested in patenting your idea or trademarking an idea, you can work with the Entrepreneurship Law Clinic. All of the resources are free to you. The only expense that you will incur is the filing fees that you would incur anywhere else off campus. In addition, our university libraries offer you support in researching the market, finding you articles to help you do some market research on your idea. And in addition to that, because we're part of the Techstars network and a global network, we have access to many resources and mentors in the community. So no matter what your idea is, we can certainly find you a mentor in the community that can respond and give you guidance and react to your ideas. And finally, we have Matchboard, which I'm proud to say that our students at the University of Buffalo within the Computer Science and Engineering Department designed this matchmaking service. Don't worry, you're just matching entrepreneurs to entrepreneurs. You can post that you are interested in joining a team, or you can post that you're looking for someone to join your team. So I encourage all of you to check that out. Again, this was designed by students just like you as part of a class project. Next slide, please. In our Inclusive Launch Foundry program, many students want to dabble in entrepreneurship but need a little bit more structure. So we've designed an Inclusive Launch Foundry where you explore entrepreneurship in the fall in a co-curricular experience, a 10-week workshop-based virtual experience, and then in the spring, you have the entrepreneurship experience where you're placed within a startup company to focus on innovation within a startup. Next slide, please. And if you're successful in completing the Inclusive Entrepreneurship Program, our students earn a micro-credential. And this is something that you can add to your resume, but certainly share more publicly through LinkedIn to show what you've gained in terms of skills. Next slide. And these are just additional images from our programs. Next slide. one of the things that I really want to focus on is our innovation sprints. This is an opportunity for you to take what you've learned in the classroom and really demonstrate your creativity and innovation to our industry partners. We work with companies like ACV Auctions or Univera Health or Rich Products, Praxair, now known as Lindy, and they present to our students a challenge, a real business challenge that they've been struggling with, wrestling with, that they invite you to create a solution for. Next slide. And this is an opportunity for you to really showcase what you've learned in the classroom. Next slide. And for our students, it's also an opportunity to look for internship opportunities or maybe open the door for employment opportunities. Our industry partners are using these programs to really identify candidates for their competitive positions. So we encourage our students, all of you, to explore these innovation sprints, and we announce them through our listserv that I'll speak to in a moment. Next slide. And finally, we have lots of opportunities for our students to collaborate with one another, to find like-minded students, and simply network. We call these UB Open Coffee Club, where we offer you coffee, typically when we're in person. This year, virtually, we'll encourage you to grab a cup of coffee and network with other students. We do this once weekly, and so you have a way to expand your network of contacts in the community. Next slide. Next slide. And now I want to invite all of you to look at our website. I'm going to drop in the chat a link, and we're offering a fun opportunity for all of you. For those of you that are interested in learning more about Launchpad and receiving our weekly newsletter, we will select 10 students that register to receive our newsletter to receive a $10 Amazon gift card. So again, I dropped the link to our website to where you can connect and sign up for our newsletter, and we will select 10 students that will receive a $10 gift card. Next slide. And of course, in this virtual world, in this tech world, we encourage you to follow us on social media, whether you prefer Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Next slide. We're on virtually every platform, including LinkedIn. So I encourage you all to connect with me, to connect with our resources, and to connect with Blackstone Launchpad to support your entrepreneurial spirit. Next slide. And with that, thank you so much, and I wish you all the very best as you start your tenure here at the University of Buffalo.
Thank you very much, Hadar, for that. A lot of great information, and I think it's very important for people to make sure that they keep track of all of these great opportunities and not let anything pass by. I would encourage you to sign up for the newsletter, sign up for the listserv, make sure you're engaged and you're involved in that community, because there's a lot of opportunities being provided to you by the University of Buffalo Blackstone Launchpad. Thank you very much, Hadar.
Thanks so much.
With having said all of that, I'm now going to briefly talk a little bit about developing power skills in our CEAS 360 program. What I talk about power skills, I'm really looking at the difference between hard skills and soft skills. And soft skills, you hear power skills often discussed as. Hard skills are something that are teachable, that you technically are using in the classroom, more in the math, science, reading, and writing. They have a defined purpose, a defined use, and they're measured. On soft skills and things that are often maybe neglected or not thought about as being as important, and I'll discuss a little bit of the impressions of companies on the importance of power skills and soft skills, is they have a tendency to be more personality-driven skills like etiquette, getting along with others, listening and engaging. It's important to know that hard skills and soft skills are equally important. Whether you're considering going into a position in academia, or you're interested in going to a position in industry, or you're currently in industry. We have many graduate students who are currently working. This is something to think about, that these skills are considered as equally important. Just some statistics that were done through a workforce survey that is still relevant and extremely important to think about is that all new hires, how successful can you be without skills, soft skills? 46% of newly hired employees will fail within 18 months with having a lower developed amount of soft skills. And 89% of them for the lack of soft skills and professionalism, the inability to get along with others. This is something that may seem, well, I'm very good at my trait and I don't really have to worry about other people. That's not necessarily the case. It's extremely important for those who are hiring, whether you're in academia or industry, to be able to hire individuals that are aware, they're socially aware, their ability to communicate with others is extremely important, and that is deemed as professionalism in the workplace, no matter what area you're planning on going into. 77% of employers believe that soft skills are just as important as hard skills, and 20% of them said that they're even more important than hard skills. So there are 7 things that we focus on within the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences in our CEAS 360 professional development program. And these are kind of some overarching kind of an inventory that we provide students to think about as they're going into this program. And I'll discuss a little bit more about the program in a few moments here. The first is strong work ethic. Some questions to ask yourself, and these are adaptable based upon the situation that you may be in. Am I motivated and dedicated to get the job done no matter how bad it may seem? You may feel as though you're up against the wall, this is going to be impossible, but do you have the work ethic? Will you work hard and do your best as you're going through, even if you're in a situation where you feel as though it's unattainable? Are there ways that you can think about continuing to persevere through that? So work ethic is an extremely important mantra to consider as you're going into your professional career. Positive attitude. We've all worked with individuals who maybe can be perceived as very down. Oh, no, that'll never work. Oh, that's impossible. Thinking about eliminating the negativity and really taking a positive reflection. Are you upbeat and optimistic about what you're being asked to do? Do you generate good energy and the people around you gravitate towards you? And you can see people when you're working in groups being able to have that. But the positive attitude is extremely important. Good communication skills, how well one articulates and what they write and speak. The ability, we talked about 3-minute thesis before, being able to take what you want to say and being able to say it in a very concise manner without providing a novel and having people get lost in translation of what you're trying to say to them. Being a good listener. Often we are hearing, but we're not listening. And that's an extremely important trait as we try to go down the road of empathy and being able to put ourselves in another's shoes and listening as opposed to just hearing or listening to yourself speak. Understanding the other person is the trait of empathy. And then body language. If I'm sitting slooped over in my chair or I'm showing up late, and that's even a nonverbal communication skill that communicates something, but body language, looking out the window, looking at your watch, these are all things that are communicating things and really come together with thinking, listening, speaking, and nonverbal, all putting together a package of what you're communicating. It's impossible for us as humans to not communicate. By looking at someone and not saying anything, you're still communicating, whether it be through body language, whether it be through posturing. These are all things to be aware of as a curriculum that we are dealing with in life, not only in our professional life, but also our personal life. Time management skills. Asking yourself, the questions to ask yourself, how well do I prioritize different tasks and projects at one time? Are you being wise about how you're spending and using your time? And these are all things that come into play. And prioritization, when you're being asked to do more and more, can be difficult, not only in graduate school, but also as you continue on in life. But how can you actually prioritize these things better? And then again, the ability to get along with others, acting as a team player. How well do I work in groups and teams? Do I have a preference? Some people prefer to work individually and versus in groups, but it's important to be adaptable and be mindful of that and being aware of your own areas where your strengths and weaknesses are. How important is this to my career choice? Do you have a preference to be able to choose this? And depending upon the type of career or the type of position that you're going into, you're going to be cast into different areas that you may have to step out of that comfort zone, but being able to work through as a team player. Flexibility and adaptability, being open to new ideas, embracing change, adapting to new situations, and the ability to grow personally and professionally, and the ability to learn new things as you go along. And then one of the most important ones is believing in yourself, having self-confidence in yourself, trust in your abilities, judgment, and your network that you're working with, and having the courage to ask questions and contribute. You may have heard of a phrase before called the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you say you can't do it, you probably won't, but if you say you can, you probably will. These are very important traits of confidence that not only follow you through intrinsically, but others who are dealing with you. It creates your reputation as you move forward into the workforce. Having said all of that, we have a program that helps you think through all of these things and then is devised into many different areas of training. It's the CEAS 360 Professional Development Program. This offers our graduate students, it's free of charge. There's no additional cost for this. You're not registering for a course, and I'll explain in a moment about the workshops. We offer a CEAS 360 Certificate of Professional Development. Students earn a certificate once they complete 25 hours of training through various workshops. The workshops are provided by career professionals, alumni, some university staff, leadership within the school, leadership within companies. It provides students the opportunity to hear from those who are working in industry or in an academia, and to think through the application of many of the things that I just described. And it identifies areas of training under the areas of critical thinking and problem solving, oral and written communication, teamwork, collaboration, digital technology, the use of being able to technology to communicate your message in an effective way, the ability to communicate data. How do we put data together? How can I put together dashboards to communicate my message, to get buy-in from others? Leadership, this is a very important one. Helping you develop skills in leadership, professionalism and work ethic, career management. It's more than just getting a job, it's about building your career. And then one in particular that Dr. Thomas had spent a lot of time on, that we've grown some modules in, is global and intercultural fluency. These are extremely important aspects of where we are today in our world that have been around for many years, but we need to be aware, because these are powerful skills for us to be aware of, to be knowledgeable in these areas within the workforce, whether it be academia or industry, and in our personal lives. This program, again, we offer about 75 workshops per year. They're spread across the various terms throughout the semester. You have the ability to take them. They're about an hour to 2 hours in length, depending upon the time of year that we host them. It's really, they're offered all across the different days and times. We have them available for you virtually, that you'll have more information coming out soon on those that are scheduled for the fall semester as well. I encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity. Our program was recognized by IELTS USA and the British Council for the 2020 Best Practices Award for student support. So I really encourage you to take advantage of this program, is helping prepare you for the next step as you're in graduate school, not just waiting until you graduate and then thinking about it, but helping you use this as an advantage to you as you continue on and prepare for your next phase in life. Any student that participates in the CEAS 360 Professional Development Program, we will be hosting several sessions where we're using economic modeling data, and we also have the ability to provide reports to you that you can request regarding where are the jobs, what are the types of skills that employers are looking for. This is a very powerful tool for those students who opt in the CEAS 360 program. And again, this is an option. Not all students are required to do this. About 1/3 of our students do. The students that do opt into the C's 360 program will have access to the ability to these sessions, as well as the ability to receive reports based upon the labor market data and then information that we have available for where our interns have been placed, and if you're an international student, as well as OPT placements. This is just an example, in addition to the hard skills that employers are looking for based upon the particular areas that you may or may not be interested in, can drill down on the specific job postings and examples of job postings and where they are. This is an example of the types of soft skills that many of the companies are looking for, and you can identify depending upon the area. Right now I've just got a sample up here, but depending upon the individual area, you can look at the skills gap, where there could be 20 million workforce profiles that have been grabbed by through economic modeling to look at what the frequency in the job postings are, and you can actually see where employers are looking for something and it may be missing within the workforce profile. And this can be very beneficial as you begin to think about teasing your resume to be adapted to the positions that you're applying for. And again, both on a combination of soft skills and hard skills. So wanted to provide that information to you. There'll be more information provided at the conclusion of this presentation, but any questions that you have about the C360 Professional Development Program, we can be reached at cs360@buffalo.edu. But again, take a look at that information and the opportunities that are being provided to you, and I think that it'd be one area for you to consider as you're going on your journey in graduate school. And I'm now going to pass it to Dr. Kelly Ahuna, who's going to be providing some insight on academic integrity at the University of Buffalo. Dr. Ahuna?
Hi, everyone. I just want to add my welcome to the many welcomes you've received. I am the director of this special office at UB called Academic Integrity, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about this fundamental value and how it's going to play into your role at UB. So I wanted to begin with...
I'll get you into your slide here, Kelly.
Sorry.
No problem.
I actually don't know if my next slide is there, is it? There it is. Yep. Great. Thank you. I wanted to talk about the reason why you're here at UB, why you're coming here to get your master's degree, which is really to learn, right? You want to learn a skill set that's going to take you out into the world and to be successful doing something that hopefully you love. So to take a step back from that, this is something very common sense, but you might not have thought about before, which is the idea that learning has to take place in an individual's head, which is to say, no matter how smart your faculty, how entertaining, how much expertise they have, nobody else can learn for you. You have to put in the cognitive ability to learn what you need to know. And at the graduate level, your independence in that practice is assumed, right? A lot of onus for what's learned is going to be put on you, that you're doing the work you need to do to learn what you need to learn. And here's the way the university contract with students works, which is that your instructors are going to try to impart all of their expertise and knowledge to you. You're going to work on learning it, and then you're going to give back evidence of what you know. And that evidence could come in a number of ways. It could be an exam, a project, a homework assignment, code you write, anything like that. And then the instructor is going to assess your knowledge. And here's the important part. The assessment of that knowledge has to be genuine. They have to actually be assessing what you know, not what your roommate knows or your classmate knows or you learned on the website, right? It has to be what's in your head. So that's what academic integrity means. It's this honest completion of work, that what you submit is authentically what you have learned. And so I just like to always talk about what the word integrity means, because we use it a lot, but we don't often explain it. And it comes from the Latin word for integer, which you might remember from your lower level math days, that an integer is a whole number, and integrity means whole or complete. So that people who have integrity are people who don't compromise their wholeness as a person by doing one small unethical thing and then another small unethical thing and chipping away at their integrity. They do the right thing. And the important part of that is they do the right thing when it's hard to do the right thing. So I often think of students who are awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, struggling to complete an assignment or complete a project, and they're just stuck. They just can't do it. They're tired, they're stressed, they're overwhelmed. And what do you do in that moment at 3 a.m.? Do you go to a website where you can get the answers and quote unquote cheat? Or do you just confess to your instructor that you got stuck, you couldn't do it, and take whatever grade penalty comes along with that? That's the harder thing. I expect that graduate school should be hard. If it's easy, I don't think we're doing our job. It should be a challenge for you. So as you face those challenges, the question really is, what will you do? So I wanted to give you some things to think about. And I don't know, Chris, can you go to my next slide? Can I do it? It won't seem to let me. Great. I'm going to ask some questions about what's cheating, and I think we're going to try our polling here and see if the polling works, because I'd like to get your input. When I give you a question, please answer yes or no. So is it cheating to copy work from another student without their permission? Go ahead and answer that yes or no. Is it cheating to copy work from another student with their permission? Yes or no. Is it cheating to work on homework problems with classmates? Yes or no? Then looks like you can submit those. Oh, you can keep going. Okay, sorry, I see you. Scroll down, please. Just go through. Number 4, is it cheating to tell another student what questions are on an exam? Is it cheating to upload instructor materials to sharing sites? I'll explain that in a few minutes. Is it cheating to reuse an assignment or project from a past class? Is it cheating to buy an assignment from the internet? Is it cheating to consult with another group when working on a group project? Is it cheating to use exact language from a written source without putting it in quotation marks and naming the source? Hope I'm not reading too fast for you. You could do this at your own pace. And is it cheating to prepare a classmate's interview materials for them? When you're finished answering, you can submit. I think Chris will have our numbers for us, but I'd like to walk through these to see sort of where people fall. So let's go back to let's go to the is it cheating to slide and walk through them. Okay, is it cheating to copy work from another student without their permission? I don't know if anyone said, oh, here we go. Here are our poll results. Great. Okay, so 99% of people agree that it is cheating to copy work from another student without their permission. Okay, I gave you the easy question first, right? So that I think pretty much universally everybody knows is cheating, right? First of all, what you're turning in then, or what you're completing for your instructor is not what you know. It's what someone else knows, back to my definition a minute ago. But how about number 2? Is it cheating to copy work from another student with their permission? And 94% of you said yes. And the answer to that is a resounding yes. Just because a classmate lets you copy their work doesn't mean it's not cheating, because you're still presenting as your knowledge something that's not your knowledge. Okay, here's a good one. Number 3, is it cheating to work on homework problems with classmates? About a third of you said yes, and about 2/3 of you said no. The answer to this question is it depends, right? And here's the important point for a lot of this. Every instructor you have is going to set limits for collaboration. Depending on what the assignment is, depending on what they're looking for your knowledge, they're going to say, you have to do this totally by yourself, or you're allowed to talk to classmates, but then complete the assignment by yourself, or you could do it in a group, right? They're going to set the particular standards. You have to know what those standards are and abide by them. Never assume. I talk to many students who are reported for cheating and they say, I thought I was allowed. Okay, that's not a good standard to go on. Not thinking you're allowed. If you don't know, always ask. Number 4, is it cheating to tell another student what questions are on an exam? Most people agree that that's cheating. And that is cheating because everyone needs to be assessed in a fair manner. And if most people going into a test don't know what the questions are, but some do, that's an unfair exam structure. Number 5, is it cheating to upload instructor materials or slides to sharing sites? This is an interesting question. There are lots of different sites. I don't know what ones people are aware of. There's something called Chegg, something called Course Hero, something called Quizlet. There are many, many of them. And sometimes they solicit students to upload notes from a class, quizzes from a class, whatever you have from a class. Okay, that's a violation of our academic integrity policy because those materials belong to instructors. If you don't have their explicit permission to share their work, don't share it. Okay, I'll talk about that in a minute, a little bit more. Is it cheating to reuse an assignment or project from a past class? This one often confuses students because students will think, well, I created something, I can use it as many times as I want. I didn't take it from another person. But it is cheating to reuse a past project if you haven't asked permission, because your instructor thinks you're doing something new and something for the first time. And if you're not, you're misleading the instructor. Okay, not that you can't use past projects, but you always need to ask permission. Is it cheating to buy an assignment from the internet? Well, yes, I wish that was 100% yes. It's obviously cheating to buy an assignment from any source, because then it's not your work that you're showing. Is it cheating to consult with another group when working on a group project? Okay, here's a little bit of a tricky one. So you're assigned a group project and there are 5 of you on a team and you're supposed to come up with something. And if your group is stuck and another group says, well, we can help you, is that allowed? The answer is it depends. If the instructor says you're only working within your group, that's your only source of help, you cannot work with another group. Okay, it's sort of like my answer before. If in doubt, ask. Is it cheating to use exact language from a written source without putting it in quotation marks? So this is the definition of plagiarism, right? To take another person's language or ideas and not credit it. So if you're ever going to take language, make sure you always know how to cite it. If you don't know how to cite it, we have good resources on campus, the Center for Excellence in Writing, that could help you with that. And is it cheating to prepare a classmate's interview materials for them? So while this is not an academic question for a particular class, it's for getting a job, the answer is yes. Because now instead of an instructor, you're dealing with a potential employer who's looking to see what you know. And if you're presenting what your friends know and not what you know, you're misleading that employer, which, by the way, has long-term repercussions on UB's reputation and on fellow alumni who then try to work for that company, because UB would then not be held in high esteem. So thank you for participating in my poll. I just wanted to make sure that people had some understanding of different things that might arise for you. So let me talk about different kinds of cheating that are covered in our policy. The first is cheating, which is the umbrella concept for any unauthorized help. So a lot of people will be taking exams in their bedrooms now that we're in this COVID-19 world, and you're on your computer taking a test and you don't know an answer to something and you want to look it up. Okay, are you allowed to look it up? What is authorized help for this test? Did the instructor say you could use notes in your textbook? Then use notes in your textbook, but not the internet. Okay, so you're going to stay within whatever authorized help is allowed to you. The next one is falsifying academic materials. So this is when you might be collecting data on something for a project and you're surveying people and your surveys are not coming back like you want them to come back. So you just alter them a little bit to make them show what you want them to show. Or you get an exam back that you've taken in pencil, you have a few questions wrong, so you erase your answers, rewrite them, and ask for a regrade. You're going into a material and you're falsifying it. The next one is misrepresenting documents. And this is where you would take an existing document and change it. So for example, if you're sick and you went to the University Health Services, if you're here in Buffalo on campus, and they gave you a note for missing class and they put the date on it, and you went in and just backdated it by a few days to get permission for having missed, that's misrepresenting a document. Changing an ID, pretending you're someone else, doctoring an obituary, anything like that is misrepresenting documents. Plagiarism, we already talked about in that scenario a little bit, but that's taking language, code, ideas from another person without acknowledging it. Then we have purchasing or selling academic assignments. So obviously we're trying to protect the honesty of work. So anytime you sell something or buy something, that's violated. Submitting previously submitted work, which we also talked about in the scenario, but that's if you've done something in the past, you cannot submit it again without permission. And then lastly, aiding in academic dishonesty. And this one sometimes surprises students because this is being a helper. This is not being what you would typically think of as a cheater, because you're not getting answers, but you're giving answers, right? So if you do someone else's homework for them, or if you share past exams. And I will tell you that at UB, we have a standard of protecting your work. So it's not enough to say to people, I didn't know, I left my laptop open and a classmate went in and took it, and I was unaware that they took it. That's not an acceptable defense. If anyone has access to your work, you can be accused of aiding in academic dishonesty. Okay, so those are some things to be aware of. Let's talk about process. If you were to be suspected of doing something dishonest, I just want you to know what would happen, which is the first thing is your instructor would reach out to you by email and say, I suspect something happened, we need to meet. We call that consultative resolution, and that's an opportunity for you and the instructor to have a conversation about what happened, and you could speak on your own behalf. After that, the instructor determines if they think you're responsible and what penalty to apply to you, and that'll be a slide in a minute. They report that to my office, and then if you want, you could appeal to the next part of the slide there. And the way you appeal is you just go through my office, you get clear instructions on how to do this if the case comes up. You could appeal either the finding of responsibility or the sanction. My office determines if it's worth putting a committee together to hear your case or upholding the instructor's decision. And if you get a committee, the committee is 2 faculty members, 2 students, a member of my office. They hear from you and the instructor, they decide, and then the case is ended. Okay. Here are some possible penalties that could be applied. You could get just a warning. That's very rare at the graduate level. We do hold graduate students to a very high standard of academic integrity. You could be asked to revise your work. You could get a grade reduction. So for example, a 0 on the assignment. You could get failure in the course. And that's kind of where we start at the graduate level. That's one of the most typical sanctions for a first-time offense. You could be assigned to do something called remediation, which is an actual educational intervention through my office. It's a course built into UB Learns that you would do on academic integrity practices. You could fail the course and get a notation on your transcript that the reason you failed is due to academic dishonesty. That's a very difficult sanction to overcome because then everyone who sees your transcript in the future would know that you failed because you had an academic dishonesty situation. And that does not look good for your character. You can have an instructor who sanctions you with a temporary notation of that dishonesty. And then when you successfully complete remediation, it can be removed. But that's really something hard to overcome. You can be dismissed from your program. You can be dismissed from your department, again, with or without notation on your transcript. And you can be suspended or expelled from the university. I do want to say that we are protecting the reputation of UB and the job prospects of your classmates. So we take this very seriously. And then my last slide here is just to give you some reasons why I think academic and professional integrity are so important. And the first thing I would say is your reputation is everything. So if you do have an instructor who suspects you of doing something dishonest, and you have a history of, being a stellar student who always seems to do the right thing and be in the right place at the right time, that goes with you into that consultative resolution meeting, and you are more likely to get the benefit of the doubt. Once you do something dishonest, once you chip away at that integrity, like I talked about at the beginning, your reputation suffers and you're less likely to get the benefit of the doubt. So if I could give you any advice, I would say really protect your reputation. Then I would say we're really working on helping you begin your establishment of professional integrity habits. When you get a job, you're going to be held to integrity standards in the workplace. They're really not so dissimilar. You can't steal your colleagues' work, right? You want to give credit where credit is due. So you want to start those habits now. As I've said a few times, academic integrity is really required to fairly evaluate all students, especially when classes are graded on a curve. If some students are doing dishonest things and elevating their grades falsely, it hurts everybody else. So we really rely on that fundamentally. And then at the end of the day, does your diploma mean what it says? You're going to have a diploma that says you have a master's degree from the University of Buffalo. But if you go out to a job and you don't have the knowledge that that diploma implies that you have, it's worthless. And that hurts UB's reputation, which devalues the degree. And when that employer looks at the next UB alum who applies for a job, they're less likely to think highly of them. And then the last thing I would say is that when you're awake at 3 o'clock in the morning and you can't get that project done, try to tell yourself in that moment of stress, because most students do something dishonest in a moment of stress, that the consequences of not getting that project done are never as severe as the consequences of cheating. The consequences of cheating take you back to that sanction slide with all those bad things that could happen. And I promise you, you will wish you could go back in time and not make that decision at 3 in the morning. So try to remember that. We have all kinds of really good resources for you. Your instructors are the first place to go if you have any confusion about what's allowed. Oftentimes, and especially this semester, there should be good direction in the syllabus around academic integrity for that class and what the boundaries are. And then the academic integrity website has been revised this summer with all kinds of good resources for students. So feel free to reach out to me or my office if you need anything, but I wish you luck in your time here at UB.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahuna, for that very insightful discussion. And I think it's very important. You touched on a critical piece regarding taking the path of least resistance and getting something done just to get it done, and then thinking about the long-term ramifications. And I would encourage all of you, if you're ever in that ethical dilemma, to really think very carefully about that. So I am now going to, I'm very pleased to introduce, we have several alums who are also faculty in the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. I am going to, looks like my screen is still being controlled here, but by somebody, okay. I'm going to introduce Dr. Francine Battaglia, Professor and Chair of the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, Dr. Kevin Burke, Assistant Professor in teaching in the Department of Electrical Engineering, and Dr. Jennifer Zernheld, a Maxwell's Technology Professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering. And we're delighted to have them here today. What we asked to bring them in today to talk about is really what they wish they had known in graduate school that they know now. And it's very easy for us to think about these things in hindsight, but they have some insight coming from a very unique perspective as faculty members who are also at the University at Buffalo as students. And we're delighted to have them join us today. And maybe we'll begin with Dr. Battaglia, just to provide her insight about her journey and some things and tips and tricks that she may be able to provide you to think through as you begin your journey as a graduate student here at the University of Buffalo. So I'm pleased to welcome all of them. And maybe we'll begin with Dr. Battaglia. Dr. Battaglia?
Thank you, and welcome everyone. I'm delighted to have you with us today. I've been listening along the entire time to get some additional insight to see what you're learning during your orientation. Just very briefly, I am actually from Buffalo originally, so I was born and raised here, and I attended Buffalo for both my bachelor's and my master's degree. So I had a nice transition from the undergrad to the graduate program. And then I left and I went to Penn State, and I just returned 3 years ago. So I spent about half my lifetime in Buffalo. And regarding UB, and I think some of the things that I learned after the fact, which is what we want to share with you today, it wasn't clear to me when I was a graduate student what the importance would be for my research. And what I appreciate now, and what I really see with the examples of my own graduate students that go off into the workforce, is that graduate school is providing for you a foundation of skills, not necessarily only an expertise in a particular area. And I want to distinguish that because this was also brought up earlier about hard skills and soft skills. What I learned is that just because I did research in a particular area. So my master's degree research was different than my PhD research, which was different than my postdoctoral research. What I ended up doing in my job, so to speak, which is in academia, has elements of that, but I really do something very differently. And so what I realize now is that graduate school is providing this foundation where it's shaping me as a researcher. It's shaping me as someone that will be perceived by the external environment as someone that has skills, that knows what it means to research, that is intelligent enough to find answers or know when to say, I don't know the answer, and allows me to have the skills to keep on lifelong learning. So that's kind of the big takeaway point, is that we have set ourselves up in a position to be lifelong learners. And so I'm continually learning about research. I'm continually expanding my areas. So if you decide to do research, say, in robotics, that does not mean that you have limited your opportunities for the rest of your life, because your graduate work can feed into other areas. And so I think that's just an important takeaway. And again, I said, I see this with my own personal graduate students that learned a particular research area, but yet get hired by companies because of the skills that they've attained. And that's really what the companies are looking for. And I see that also in academia as well. So that's kind of where I wanted to start this. And I want to make sure everyone has enough time to give their input. So I'll turn the floor back to you, Chris.
Yeah, that's an excellent point to bring up. I think too often students think that, well, if I get a degree in this or I do research in this particular area, that I'm only tied to that area. I have an anchor tied to me that I can only do research in this particular area, or I can get a job. I'm only eligible to get a job in that particular area. In fact, you may be good at something, but you may study something else, but you may be able to have that interplay happen between the two. I think that's an extremely valid point. It's very important to think about as you go through your journey in graduate school and the types of courses that you take as well. We often see sometimes students will look at, well, I might be really strong in one area, but I have some weaknesses in another area that I need to focus on to make me more well-rounded and prepare me to the career that I want to go into. So I wanted to thank you very much for those preliminary comments, Dr. Battaglia. Next on our panel, and we're going to also open it up for enough time for questions at the end, we have Dr. Kevin Burke, who will be joining us today to kind of give us his insight and a little discussion about his journey and some insight.
Thanks, Chris. So welcome everyone again. As Chris mentioned, I too am a UB alum. All of my degrees are from here. And I would say the one thing that's, well, a couple things that really stuck in my mind that I really wished I would have known then was, one, it's not all about the technical. That, you know, we talked a whole lot about soft skills, and you know, I know now that I should have worked harder to polish those while a graduate student, and it really does make a huge difference, you know, even to the point where it may even make up for a technical deficit. For instance, if a company is looking for a particular technical area, but you are able to communicate and you do that well, they may be willing to overlook that little bit of a technical deficit and train you on the job to do that. So, you know, soft skills, you know, a holistic package is really what you should be aiming at. The other thought that really stuck in my mind is, you know, the day after I woke up from defending my PhD, I felt the same. I didn't feel any smarter. And the one thing actually helped me to realize was that there was a whole lot more that I didn't know. You know, and the whole lifelong learning thing is crucial, like Dr. Battaglia mentioned. You know, you learn a lot, you become an expert in a very small area, but man, oh man, is there a lot more out there, and you should keep going and just don't stop. The whole lifelong learning idea, it's going to take you many, many places, and it prevents your career from being stagnant. It gives you the ability to consistently move and get better and experience different things. And so those are the two main things. As for being a student, enjoy it, right? You've been through an undergrad, you know, be serious, but balance is key, right? You must be balanced. You work hard, you play hard. The friends you make, they'll be lifelong. Connections you make, they'll be lifelong. And it's all about a network. Make that network, make those connects, because that's what's going to help you in the future. And I'll pause there and I will pass back to Chris.
Those are some excellent suggestions, Kevin. I think that it's very easy for graduate students to get caught up in the moment. They're taking their classes and only focusing on, well, I have to take this class. I have to go to the laboratory tonight at 6 p.m. I'm gonna skip going to a networking session. I got to get an A in this class. I have to make sure that I'm in the lab on Saturday and Sunday. Well, I don't need to go to the Blackstone Launchpad competition. I really don't want to worry about that. I think it's very important to think about. Similar experience for me as Kevin. As a grad student, I think I didn't take advantage of a lot of those opportunities that were provided to me. And I think, as Dr. Burke had said, you have to think about these things longer term, because it makes you a more well-rounded individual as well, both personally and professionally, of being able to think about these things. Take advantage of those aspects of engagement and know that your knowledge does not stop after you've graduated. And you think about your degree, when you get your degree, there's not a magic switch that goes off, and where all of a sudden, oh, I'm smarter now. Well, your smartness also comes from your interactions with other people and your interactions with the whole world that we're a part of, and through learning through interactions, learning through failures that make successes. And you're going to have a lot of those, and being able to take advantage of those. But that's some great preliminary insight from you, Dr. Burke. Thank you very much for that. And Dr. Zernheld, you want to provide some insight of your journey and your expertise of what got you to where you are, and some words of wisdom for our students joining graduate school.
Okay, thank you very much. So I also got all of my degrees from the University of Buffalo. And I had no plans to go to graduate school. It was undergraduate research that changed my path and ultimately where I've ended up. And I think when I was entering graduate school, my thought process was, well, you pick an advisor, or you pick a research area, you pick an institution, and then everything's going to go perfectly. But most of research, most of graduate school, most of life is lifelong learning, as my colleagues have said. Most of it is you are in a process of learning more deeply in an area, but you also need to have a balance. And especially now in the situation we are in, the world is much smaller than it's ever been before. And it's much larger than it's ever been before. Information is available instantaneously. And the fact that we are engineers and scientists and contributing to that technology, that advancement is exciting. So what I wish I would have realized in graduate school was that to enjoy the journey, to realize that I felt at times like I was alone, and I really wasn't, that UB is a wonderful place to learn and grow. And some of the resources that are available now didn't exist when I started graduate school, which is dating myself. I remember when the lab got email, and now, yeah, email is with us everywhere. So, trying to appreciate the things as they're going on, and that it's harder nowadays, I think, to manage the day, because the world is smaller and yet larger. So make sure, if you're looking for help or resources, to reach out, make friends, connect, learn as much as you can, but also appreciate working on all those other skills, because like 360, C's 360 didn't exist when I went to graduate school. As I said, email was a new thing. So appreciate all those things that are available to you and take advantage.
Some great insight there, Dr. Zernheld. Thank you very much for that. I think it's very important for students to also think of that great point about we have access to, as students now, to much, much more than when all of us were students, graduate students, and that may even become oversaturation to a certain degree. You touched on some very important points. In particular is understanding and knowing your path is going to be impacted by connections with others as well. Don't be afraid. If you're working with your advisor, have that relationship with your advisor, build that relationship with your advisor. But even if you don't, if you can make friends with other faculty, other graduate students, I cannot stress enough how important it is to build the networks that you have available to you. And that doesn't just mean within the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. That could mean in the community. That could mean outside of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences at UB. But the more you can build your network, the more you can leverage those opportunities that are being provided to you, the better off you're going to be. And the point that Dr. Zernheld made about this global situation, the world is much smaller yet larger, and data is at our fingertips, is this pandemic is created almost in a way, there's a lot of negative that it has created, but in a positive is the world is dealing with this problem all at the same time. that can breed some opportunity. Talking about how engineers as being the cutting edge innovators during this pandemic to think us through to tomorrow. So lots of opportunities. While we may think of opportunities that are not there, there's even more possibility to think through getting us over that mountain as we move forward, and just the innovation and the breadth and depth of research that our faculty are doing. So if you're interested in things, make those connections, establish those networks, work with other people. The other thing I would recommend that you do for graduate students is, and one of you may want to comment on this as well, is don't just talk to graduate students within your particular department. You're going to find that students are in one department and they're registered for a class. Oh, these are computer science students. Oh, these are mechanical students. Or these are electrical. Don't be in that your own discursive community. Be able to step outside of that, because you may find alliances that you build with students in terms of knowledge and creation of knowledge can lead to success of future research, and not only research, but job opportunities and industry and connections. So I wanted to leave that out there as a piece, but I don't know if any of you would be interested in commenting on that or your perceptions. Yes.
I just wanted to actually tie in also, because you hit upon this briefly, mentoring. You didn't use the word, but really what you've described also, do seek mentors. It's something that I didn't realize the importance of until much, much later in life. But I do recall having a relationship with someone when I was a graduate student, another faculty member, and I am still friends with that person today. And I realize now in retrospect that was a mentor, even though I didn't use that word. But do seek mentors. Don't just have your advisor be the only person that provides guidance. That's an important and crucial link, but seek others. So I just wanted to touch on that and let the others talk.
So yeah, the other thing is, I just want to elaborate on that also. You don't just have to have one mentor, right? I mean, multiple, for whatever scenario or situation you feel appropriate. Find someone or seek out someone, and it's got to be a mutual relationship, right? They're going to learn from you and you're going to learn from them, but it's okay to have multiple mentors. And then alluding back to what Chris mentioned, have different networks, have a social network, have a technical network, have a cultural network, have a recreational network. And it's great if they overlap, right? That's even better. And sometimes you get that lucky and sometimes you don't. But have the different networks and don't, be surprised, when things start to meld together, it works in your favor.
Excellent suggestion there, Dr. Burke. Thank you very much for that. I think it's very important for students to think through the creating a community of mentors to help them, because that becomes your network in life, and that becomes your network even after that. I mean, these relationships can continue on for years and years and years, and we've all heard maybe of the 6 degrees of separation, that we all know 6 people separated through someone else. And boy, I'll tell you, in today's world, that becomes even more important to create connections and to leverage those to help you really take it to the next level within your career. These are all extremely important things to think about. And as you're connecting with those individuals, thinking about, the pieces of the organizations that you're a part of, I cannot stress enough how it is to become involved, and whether or not becoming involved in UB organizations, cultural organizations, community-based organizations, professional or discipline-based organizations in terms of showcasing your talents and then learning the talents from others, because that's the important piece that you want to be able to have. And then finally, from a standpoint of relationship building, I think it's very important, and please, panelists can feel free to jump in, is that I often see students, and we say this in the C's 360 program, is I'm going straight to marriage before I even know your name. And what I mean by that is I'm handing my CV and my resume, or I'm emailing my CV and resume directly to the faculty member or directly to the job prospect person that I'm looking to work with, unsolicited, and I'm just sending my CV out. A CV or a resume is a very personal component about you. And you're disclosing information to someone else before you truly know who they are, or you truly know that there's engagement or interest from that individual. So I want all of you to think about the aspect, and this is the path of least resistance. We look at it where, well, let me just see who I can get as many connections as I possibly can. Well, that can work in a way in terms of quantity, but what about the quality of those interactions that you're having with the faculty members, or the quality of the interactions that you're having with the other students? Take the time to build the relationship. That comes at a cost in terms of time, but the value that you can get from building that relationship with those individuals in your network can far outweigh the amount of time and that you're putting in terms of the investment that you're making. So think about that in your interactions with other students as well. Get to know people, build that relationship. You have some time here. Your master's students, you have 1.5 to 2 years. PhD students, you may be here 4, 5, 6 years. So think about the ability to build those relationships into meaningful relationships with individuals, as opposed to just cutting to the chase. I know as engineers we think, let's just get to the point and the logic, but let's put our soft skill hat on for a second and think about the meaningful connections that we can make that can actually benefit us in the long run by taking the time to do that. Are there any other pieces of insight that any of you would like to provide, or final thoughts as we wrap up?
Yeah, there's one more thought. You're in a certain department and you have a prescribed list of classes. Don't be afraid to try other classes. It was mentioned earlier where, you may have a technical strength here and may not be so strong in another area. Don't be afraid to try classes outside your area. One of my mentors, who happens to be a panelist here, mentions all the time that just because you're an energy student doesn't mean you need to take all power and energy courses. Communications plays a huge role in that. Operations research, all kinds of, other disciplines play a role, and be open-minded to that, right? Be open-minded to exploring other courses as much as your degree program will allow.
Excellent point, Kevin. Thank you very much.
And I'd like to add on to that. We're sitting at a unique point in time in history that a lot of very large problems are interdisciplinary, and they are going to take a variety, an inclusive and a diverse skill set to solve them, to make progress on them. And being in graduate school, you've already proven that you're successful, right? You wouldn't have gotten this far without having been a success. And now we're working to sort of deepen that knowledge in an area and broaden that knowledge a little bit in an area. And we're trying to solve really serious, challenging, interesting problems going forward. And you're sitting in a unique time place because you're embarked on this journey. It's exciting. And we're telling you, to go do all these things. And maybe you're sitting there a little bit overwhelmed. But it's a journey. It's taken one step at a time. You know the right path for you. And it's exciting that we're here to be a part of your journey as you deepen your knowledge and in some senses broaden your knowledge.
Excellent point that you touched on is interdisciplinarism, and gone are the days of companies and gone are the days of universities where we live behind walls and boundaries that are prescribed by our departments. Those are the old days of fiefdomism with disciplines, and now you're finding, and of course that exists to a certain degree in terms of politics within degrees or companies or departments within companies, but those who get ahead are those who can learn to step across the aisle, to learn and embrace the other aspect of the company, the division. If you have our computer scientists working in an area in manufacturing, they have to better understand the manufacturing process. If they don't understand that, how are they going to develop tools to accommodate the programming beyond how they want the robot to work? So thinking about all of those components put together, companies, we started to see it pre-pandemic, but at the point you raised, Dr. Zernheld, is even more important now, that we have to think as one, and that's not easy to do, but the interdisciplinary is a strength of what companies are looking for, and this is magnified during the pandemic. So I wanted to take the opportunity to thank all of you for joining us today, our panelists. This was extremely helpful just to provide some insight. And all of you that are listening today, I mean, there's going to be a lot of information. Obviously, we've thrown a lot of information at all of you. This is a professionalism orientation. Sadly, when we would normally have this session, it would have been in person. We would have brought everybody together. We would have had a networking reception, which we will have at some point before you graduate. I'm 100% positive of that. We will have that, and you will all be invited to that. But just to bring you up to think about this for a second, this is one aspect, professionalism. You're going to be listening to your academic departments, providing you orientation on their suggestions in their departments, other university programming that you may join sessions on as well over the coming weeks, days, months. And then finally, all of the opportunities that have been described to you here today. There are endless opportunities that are available within the University at Buffalo, the Buffalo community. Take advantage of these things. And I know it's easy to say, and we're all thinking about it now, oh, I'm going to do this. But really, I want to stress, again, don't get caught up in the moment of after week 4, my classes are becoming too much. And to you, you're always going to think more critically and negatively of yourself than you are as others are going to perceive you. So think about these opportunities, think about what areas you want to look at, and then take the opportunity to capitalize on them as you move forward. So again, we wanted to thank you again for joining us today. Again, this was your professionalism orientation. We look forward to interactions with all of you in the months to come. Questions that you have, we are happy to open this up as well for any questions that we might be able to facilitate and take right now. But again, we are available at any point in time in terms of discussion with your individual academic departments. And if you're interested in any questions, you can raise them to us as well. Are there any questions that people have for our panelists? Let me just move my windows over here. Take a look here. I do not see any questions right now. Let me go into the chat. Okay, a question that we had regarding CEAS 360. CEAS 360 can be opted into the program. You can go to the CEAS 360 website. It looks like information was shared on that. We will share all of the slides with everyone as well. The CEAS 360 program, you simply opt in, and then you will join the community, and you will be notified of any workshops. Those workshops take place. They're not always at the same time. You don't have to feel compelled to go to every single one of them. We often tell students to go to the areas that they feel as though, not only that they feel strong in, that kind of defeats the purpose. That it's good to do that, but at the same time, it's extremely important for them to focus on the weaknesses as well. CEAS 360 is not for charge. There is no charge for that at all. You can opt in free of charge. All of the orientation slides will be shared with everyone at the conclusion of the orientation here. Just trying to see if there's anything else. Here I'm scrolling through everything. Any other questions for myself or the panelists? Okay. Again, I would like to thank everyone on behalf of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Thank you again to all of our panelists, our speakers, Dr. Thomas, Dr. Ahuna, Hadar Borden, and Dr. Lewis, the Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. Thank you very much, and we will be in touch with you shortly with the copies of the presentation. Have a good day, and good luck. Hi. I was trying to read through. I am PO'd